Hey everyone, welcome to SIA. This is test number 62. Is EXIF data on its own a ranking factor? Let's get into it. Before we do, hit the thumbs up or thumbs down. We need the interaction on the videos, and I appreciate you for doing that. It doesn't take any of your time, just a push of the button. So please knock that out. And in this test, we're going to look at EXIF data. If you don't know, EXIF data has been quite popular for some time, and the local SEO crowd was probably the champions of this as a ranking factor, and a group of people that to this day still believe in it wholeheartedly. So I think in order to continue here, we got to talk about what EXIF data is. So when you create an image, especially in a digital age, typically your camera implants a bunch of information on it. And primarily it's the location of where the image is there. It's also, as part of the IPTC data is things like what kind of camera did it, what are the settings of the camera, and all that stuff. And if you look at a site like Flickr and a couple of the other more popular photography sites, like legit photography sites, not like an Instagram, but legit photography sites, they share those settings so that other people can learn from them and perhaps duplicate the style of picture that was taken. This is how photographers work together to grow and improve their craft. So there's IPTC data, which includes those cameras and all that stuff. And then there's EXIF data, which kind of expands on that a little bit more. So EXIF data will have the location of the image was taken. It'll take when the image was taken. You can actually set the copyright. You can set who did it, the publisher, etc. And when you look at the EXIF data, the idea is that business X creates all these images, and you put that information on the images, including keywords and all that stuff, and it will ergo help you rank for a specific city. So business X takes a bunch of pictures in Dallas, and those pictures are related to plumbing, and the data is on the EXIF data of the image, ergo you're now this website, because this image is there with all this data, is going to rank for Dallas plumbing. And we wanted to actually test it and see if it's true. A couple of things to keep in mind here. Well, first, the test results were clear. The EXIF data on a test page had zero effect whatsoever in ranking. And that's been my experience across the board. And I primarily do a lot of local SEO stuff. I used to do a lot of adult stuff, but now it's primarily local SEO and information sites. So when you try to do this on a website, let's keep a couple of things in mind. One, if you're uploading your images onto your website and then you have image optimization to meet the core web vitals scores and all that stuff, you have the option to strip your metadata or keep it. If you don't strip it, your score on core web vitals is lower, right? So most of us strip it. And as a matter of fact, most publishing websites strip it as well. And there are a few sites that don't do it. You can go IPTC stripping, keeping data. I believe that's the one. IPCC standard. There's a page on here that tells you which sites are keeping it. And you'll have to click around. I don't remember exactly the page, but you can find it. But for the most part, what you'll learn is the photo sites like Flickr, etc., keep it, but the sites like Google My Business, primarily most of the Google platforms, as a matter of fact, there's only a couple that keep it. And a lot of the websites, etc., all strip EXIF data. So you're putting all this stuff inside of your images and you're uploading it. It's getting stripped in part of the upload process to compress and go to the website, and ergo you're not getting any value out of it. And you can do that to yourself if you're doing it on your own website. Now, I prefer page speed over EXIF. So I always strip all the metadata out of my images just by default. In the test, we didn't do that, and we left it all in there, and it had no effect on the rankings whatsoever. And at the time, my summation was you're optimized for, let's say we're optimized for Dallas plumbing, and we have this EXIF image on there. It's just another bit of information. And when you look at the HTML code of a web page, it's not reading, or it's not seeing that that image in there. Well, it's seeing the URL for it, but it's not seeing all the EXIF data. And so Google will probably find the image URL, download the image for the Google Images, or link to the image for Google Images. These days, it'll use Google Lens or Vision, that system, to analyze it and determine what it is and what entities are in the image, etc. And it may or may not do EXIF, and we're pretty sure based off of the testing that it's not reading the EXIF. Like it's getting some of it, like maybe the location. Maybe we can't prove or disprove that it's giving a location, is finding the but for sure is finding the copyright status. So commercially available versus copyrighted can't use for the image section. So it's got to read part of the EXIF data to get the copyright stuff. So you can kind of imply that it's reading it, all of it, in the original processing of it. But that does not seem to be transferring over into the rankings of it. Not for image SEO, and not for on-page SEO in regards to money sites. Which is, it's the amount of time people put into EXIF is actually pretty significant. So for it not to have any effect on your page that's a big deal. That's a big no, right? So, but there are sites I mentioned before, like Flickr and the other photography sites, that keep that in there and provide that data as part of the on page of the image. So if we look at Flickr, let's look at Flickr. I want to explore. And then we're just going to find a random image and see if we can see some of this stuff, right? So all rights reserved. That part would be in EXIF. The camera that it was used would be in IPTC. This would all be ITPCC. And then you see this option right here is show EXIF. So there's a resolution, the camera. A lot of the stuff is IPTC. And then we're going to go, and the location's not in here. But it would typically be part of the location. So let's see if we can find a couple. Let's look for a location specific and see if we can get, here's downtown Dallas at night. Show the EXIF. There's the map of where it was taken. That would probably come out of the EXIF. Let's look in here. The image copyright is in there. That's in the EXIF. This stuff is in the IPTC data. This is in the EXIF. Let's see. Keep going. Latitude and longitude. That's in the EXIF data. So you see that's all taken as part of it. Copyright notice, you can do that and put your brand name in there. You can also copyright flags, the rights, who owns the rights, and there's another option in here to do web page. And this particular photographer didn't do it, but you can actually put your web page URL and some of that stuff too. So that in doing that, there is value right there to your website. Let's click one more. Let's see if we got any web page stuff. Maybe we'll get lucky and find one. This one doesn't have any, so they're not leveraging that at all. Let's go here. Show EXIF. The geo data is not in there, so I'm not expecting the website to be in there. This is PaintShop Pro. No website. But so you get the point. Unfortunately, you can't find one with a website that's showing. I don't see one, but you can do your brand and stuff in there, and so there's some value in there. Let's see, Sona Alpha Amateur to Advanced. Let's see, show EXIF. Nope, no website. This one's not even using the geodata. So, but you get the point. So you want to find websites that'll do that, that'll show the EXIF data, and preferably give you a spot to, at least drop in your information, your brand name and all that stuff. So when you run into Google Lens, you can go to something like this or Google Vision, and it should, pull that out. Like this is a toilet, or in this case, this is a black dog. Probably, what kind of dog does it say? Lab, monochrome, and focus. Yeah, that's photography. I'm just gonna say black lab. I'm not sure. Black mutt. So Google Vision will be able to pull that out, and then if it sees this data on this website, etc., and it kind of ties those two things in together, and you want to do that with your stuff. The copyright. Who owns the copyright? Well, Digital Ear owns the copyright, or SIA owns the copyright, or whatever, right? So you want to find a bunch of these photo sites that keep that EXIF, and then you can maybe get a little bit of linking value out of that, and the associations with your brand and your brand associated location through by being on those other websites. So if I'm in Dallas, I'm a Dallas business, and I take photos of Dallas, and I'm posting those Dallas photos on third-party websites that have EXIF data that's pulling and is being annotated as being from Dallas, the brand association, whether linked or not, ties you into Dallas. And that helps you with the ranking for Dallas. It's not a significant thing. You're not going to do 100 photos with EXIF and then rank number one. It's just not going to work that way. You're building the associations. You're building this as an entity. You're building all that knowledge graph stuff and leading towards a combination of the rest of your SEO factors to establish yourself as a Dallas business. And so when you're looking for plumbers, you've established you're about plumbing, you're established from you're about Dallas, you've established that you're a business, you have a machine rateable ID, so now you are a Dallas plumber who rates inside of the search engines to be considered for the number one spot. And that's how EXIF data will help you for now and into the future. There are some tools. Mass Optimizer Pro, I haven't messed with that one in quite some time, but I prefer Lightroom. You can do Lightroom and select 1 or 1,000 images and set the EXIF data all at once across all of them. If you want to, and make that a little bit faster, leverage the Flickr sites and all that stuff. If you're pushing out and you're using some of the modern day cameras, leverage those to create images around yourself. And that works better if you're a local business. If you're a local business service provider that provides for just that area. Like if you're in Dallas and all your clients are in Dallas, then that's tax deductions if you drive to places and take pictures for your clients, right? So there's the time, the mileage, the tax deduction of the brand new DSLR camera, all those cool guy things that you ever wanted. Those are all tax deductions that you can use for your business later. And at the same time, you get some EXIF data and you get to plug that stuff into things like their GMBs and all that stuff that Google acknowledges, that you're being there. So, while not a complete waste of time, just you have to be a lot smarter in deciding if you want to use EXIF and how you're going to use EXIF and how that is going to translate into more business at the end of the day for you or your clients. So, all right. Okay. So I hope you like this. You got a little bit of something out of it. If leave any questions, comments below, hit the thumbs up and thumbs down, please. If anything, thumbs up or thumbs down. We need the interaction, and we appreciate you. And we'll see you in the next one.